Star Trek Starfleet Academy, Season 1, Episode 4. Well, we finally know what's up with Jaden. We finally know what's up with the Klingons. And I finally know what it's like to get right from the gut feels from Star Trek again. Hey, it is Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland and letting the dust settle just a bit on all the recent Trek headlines and new episodes. So, instead of a hot take or a quick take, you get a second opinion from Dr. Trek. Hey, look, I have been writing, editing, interviewing, witnessing, hosting, archiving, dot connecting, and yes, fanning Star Trek for a while now. And I just want to say, Vox in excelso. Yes, which is Latin for the voice from on high, which I thought in this episode obviously would have been talking about Stephen Colbert. But no. Actually, I feel like it must have been the chorus of Kahless himself sending down this incredible episode. Instant classic. Ought to be one of the best of the franchise, huh? I mean, what was your first clue? So, kudos. Let me get to that later. How about we just dive right in to big things, little things? Yeah, big thing. I mean, what a gobsmack moment. Kronos would have been cool to see, Caleb says. Past tense? I mean, come on. First time you saw that, did you get a punch in the gut moment feeling there? Dread? I mean, first Romulus, and then here a millennia or so later, Kronos? The old big two baddies going out on a 1-2 punch? Except now we kind of care about both of them. Especially our double Oregon warrior buds. I mean, it's bad enough they lost their moon. This is like a cruel echo of history, Even how it happened all over. But not just the warp cores of starships that went unstable without the dilithium tuning filters in place for the reaction output plasma, the burn, but even the dilithium reactors on planets like Kronos, like apparently a lot of Klingon worlds. That was their system. Billions perished. And now, many are refugees, just like the Romulans of yore. And even with all the other planets of the Empire, a lot of the larger Klingon planets and populations have suffered the same fate. Again, just like the Sharonians, there's still plenty of Klingons out there, but not nearly in the same numbers. I mean, look, 8 remaining houses? That seems cataclysmic. Talk about another gut punch, considering early in Disco, we finally got a number for the number of Klingon houses. It was 24 in the 2200s. 1,000 years later, a third of that. A third of that alone were on the refugee cargo ship that was lost, or mostly lost. But it's been heartening, of course. Some things Klingons never change, haven't changed so far. Songs of their myths and battles, yes. We get a new Kahless myth here, but not to say that it hasn't always existed. Victories and more myths, and now the fact that warrior stew is for warriors only. And it is well taught, even to the future healers among us. The FHK, Future Healers of Klingon. Now, since the dust has been settling after first airing, I've seen some fan reactions, some really well-meaning, thoughtful fans confused about this focus on the hunt instead of just, battle and warriors. Well, I think we get into it here, but the main reason is the Klingons have been decimated. They weren't battling in the old traditional sense as the galaxy expands and they have alliances and get along with humans and all of that. But it seems like the hunt here is the practical application of the warrior instincts, and you can't go warriorize against other people, but you've still got to eat. You've still got to... Jaden himself says, I will not eat something that has not had a fair fight, that lost in a fair fight. Well, spearing birds going after a normal hunt with lesser species may be part of Jaden's complete mix here about his thoughts. But yes, again, it's the 32nd century, not the 24th, and we are post-burn, and the Klingons are a proud people just trying to maintain what they can maintain. But did this just fly right by everybody? What is this thing about having 3 parents? Wait, what? In a triad house? As Jaden tells Caleb there in their lunch conversation. Sure enough, Thar says, fathers, plural, and I are going to the trading post tomorrow. But don't we just see that little family unit, the mother, the father, the 2 brothers, until... Oh, wait! Until Thar is brought back from his stabbing at the trading post. And that, if you check the credits, is Enoch. Check out the flashback a little later, and yes, he's the one there with the Klingon dulcimer or whatever it is, the steel guitar, whatever. He's the one playing the musical instrument. Is that a post-burn development? Or has that always been at least a segment of the Klingon population and the family dynamic options? And boy, what an episode. We go all the way from rustic Klingons to, oh, by golly, by Kalis, look, we are going to get in some battle. In ships. And here's where you say, don't count out the Klingons yet. I did a rough count on pause, and I got over 40 ships here just trying to catch. And only 6 of those in the blur of things we knew were Federation. And, Kalis Christ, are those still Cavorts in there? And even some Katingas in that group? And cargo haulers like we saw in DS9? Kind of makes those 300-year-old bird of prey look like spring chickens, huh? But bottom line, if you think the Klingons have been decimated, well, there's your answer for how much of the Empire lives still. A viable gene pool? I think yes. Little things. Krios Prime. There's been a debate about, is that the same Krios Prime as the Krios? It's either a Klingon colony. Is it involved with the same Krios with Vault Minor from Kamala and Perfect Mate, or not? Goes both ways. This is obviously the Klingon one. Signor Daconis is, well, the system with Signor Daconis, the planet of the Morgs and Imorgs from Spock's brain. Yes, indeed, that gets raised in the debate tryouts. But Taurus 7, where the refugee Klingon cargo freighter was going when it blew, well, unless we have a little updated Bayer-class Greek letter star name shorthand trickery, Taurus is the same star where Taurus 2, the second planet, was the original crash site of the Galileo 7. But meanwhile, among the new star planet places, why do I feel like the Hectoron incursion by the Klingons that Caleb raises in their classroom debate might actually come up again as a future point? That's really specific. Big thing! Saucer Sept! Go Athena! I mean, of course it makes sense. It's carrying more kids with art projects and musical instruments than the Enterprise D could ever dream of. Little thing, amid all the debate, factoid chatter going on here, random history. So there was a USS Origin and the Lind civilization, an event that from just after checking star dates, the Squire of Gothos. I'm even excited to see some new 32nd century ships that aren't old hero ship names with just yet another letter stuck on the end. Did you see this? Okay, the Horizon and the Lexington, good old names of yore, but the Capricorn and the Crimson? And what's this? It's the Riker! Little thing. Judge Aaron Satie was the late and revered Federation jurist whose daughter, Admiral Nora Satie, we famously saw as the unfortunate slippery slope antagonist in the classic TNG episode, The Drumhead. Now, you probably often see that meme of Picard starting his famous quote, right? With the first link, the chain is forged. Especially these days, you'll see it now. But he's quoting Judge Satie that they honor here. And the Doctor is trying to quote him too, except did you notice, I mean, of all people, the Doctor, Why does he drop not just one of the famous clauses, but the verb of the sentence? Did you hear this? He says, with the first link, the chain is forged, the first speech censored, the first thought forbidden, us all irrevocably. Chains us all irrevocably. Maybe a little editing hiccup. Little things. Did I hear this right? Did I get the right implication? The doctor acts as the counselor for the whole student body. No one else is on staff. Okay. So there. If there was any justice in this universe, the lobby for his counseling office ought to be called the Kess Wing. Big thing. Now, in the debate tournament, Jaden and Caleb are hashing it out and, well, flinging out decisions. And I think, did we just get the first Federation Supreme Court cases cited by quotation, Koth versus Farah? And the second one here, Vulcan v. Jax, from the time of, let's see here, star dates, from the time of court-martial? Well, it's good to see that the burn only affected dilithium, not databases. But even more so, this whole line regarding non-aligned and non-member species being forced into relocation purely when in moral danger or extinction. Yeah, that would wipe out half of the old Prime Directive debates of the past, don't you think? So yes, good for Klingons standing up for being Klingons, or anyone. This whole debate about, well, it may look to you like an existential problem, but to us, it's just fine, mind your own beeswax. But look, I'm thinking of pen pals and the Barallans of Homeward for a couple of times when this little debate might have made this moot. And those two cases are a century after the time of Koth versus Farah, or especially Vulcan v. Jax. By the way, I got you. The first court case cited in dialogue in all of Star Trek was back in, yes, Ad Astra per Aspera. Starfleet v. Wick. Little thing, and I mean extremely little, Ensign. I don't know if we should have a dialogue coach take a closer look at some of our younger cadet actors and their readings versus established Trek talk, like Kadam saying Sigma Draconis and doing his numbers as thousands and hundreds instead of just 3295.2. And then even Sam being very proud to proclaim something about the Kitomer Accords. Okay. Texture, not trivia. Come on, Larry. Sam is maybe now 4 or 5 months old, actually, and still hasn't access to all of her database's ability to have correct pronunciations. Maybe that's why she was so proud and big and bold to say it so much. It was funny. Yeah. I don't know. A little thing, but come on. You had to have noticed that, right? And as for all of this great new Klingon language and words and phrases, and I'm just going to let the KLI deal with that. Moving on. Oh, I have one question. Where are Jaden's and his family's dorsal toe spikes? I mean, they're Klingons, right? For a family that lives rough and rustic, did they all have them clipped? Or is this just old news after 800 years? Oh, favorite lines. And this one was so chock full. For starters, I will not eat anything that did not die in a fair fight. We have been so waiting for Jaden. Here's another one. Klingons do not game. We do complex and violent mating rituals that end in bloodshed. And poetry. Yes, he's channeling his inner Worf there for sure. Oh, and this one from Durham. We all want to punch Caleb in the face. Even Caleb wants to punch Caleb in the face. It's a core tenet of his personality. Slipped in there when you weren't expecting it. But most of all, thank you, Doctor. There's been a tragedy. Don't compound it with ignorance. Huh. They had no idea when they wrote and then filmed that over a year ago. Or did they? Oh my God. This cast, these characters. So what did we start with? The extras watch. Yeah, I was glad to see all the band kids back. Or, okay, technically these would probably be the orchestra kids. I didn't go to a high school big enough for that kind of a rivalry. Allurian, of course. Allurians were one of the first two known species we got when Michael first landed in Burnland, remember? And yes, screen pausing is my new best hobby. Doing a count, and there appears to be about 24 cadets in the doctor's speech and debate class, which includes our nerdy cadet Holloway again. Yes, Joseph Messina, we see you, technically in sciences. But we also get a new cadet, Coley Lagina Cheno. Welcome to Trek class. And a yet unnamed cadet played by Kieran River. Unnamed, but why do I get the feeling there's a Lieutenant Levy back somewhere in his family tree?
Changing's not real, the Dominion War didn't happen.
And hey, they gave a party for the bridge crew again. They have not been forgotten, nor has the Athena in actual spaceflight. Did I mention Saucer Sap? No, really, I wasn't expecting to see these guys and gals in a Klingon episode. But then again, why should I not? Hey, you knew, with all that background of names and species makeup designs, all that invested, they'd have to pop back up soon on the Athena. Now, who's going to be the first of them to get an actual scene and a character moment? Yeah, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And then who'll be the first one we actually see down on the Academy levels? Or even, heaven forbid, walking around on the ground in San Francisco. Admiral Vance is back. So is President Rilak, assuming she's still in office a year or two later from the end of Discovery, is she just hanging back at the station-based Federation HQ and delegating everything to Vance that's over in Sector 001? Okay. But why has Vance been reading Ake's personal files for 7 years? 7? I mean, granted, there's 400 years of them, right? But why then? That would be 8 years after her resignation? Well, anyway, it's nice to know that War and Peace is still the yardstick for, oh my God, this is a lot of pages. So no Jet Reno, Chirima, or Ocam in this episode, but how surprising. We knew our doctor is more than up to sponsoring the Opera Society, but I had no idea he was an old speech and debate nerd too. Yeah. Now look, I got drafted into speech team in college, but I only saw the debate rounds from afar. I tried not to get too close. I resisted our department chair trying to draft me into taking his debate class, right? So let me get way out ahead on this one. I am sure the cranky, dank debate survivor Trek folk may have some kind of a nitpick or two about the process and the terms that we saw here. And if they do, come on, guys. Once again, there is no debate to resolve. Things change after 800 years. Okay? Get with the 32nd century program, would you? So our second banana among the cadets this week looks to be Darum. I mean, really, even just his battle breathing exercise and these little bits and pieces of Kionian language and culture that we're getting are interesting. Now, look, I'm not sure that I'm ever really going to buy and really feel that he's an alien with his own incredible alien culture as long as he's going around in human face all the time. But hey, I'm just still hoping that we can find out and why that appearance is a choice. I mean, it seems to be the exact opposite mindset to the Jelly Breen situation that we saw with La'ok on Disco as a Breen. Surely we're going to find out, right? So step up one, and I sure didn't expect the sub-story cadet story to fall on Caleb, but here it is. Arguing it's just another form of combat for me. Okay. I mean, I get it that his hacking and his digital skills are all from survival needs, as his rough life he's had. But Caleb is off the charts with this fine detail memory work. He's rattling off all these law cases and all these regulations. I mean, does he have an eidetic memory? Does he have a photographic memory? And we're just not talking about it yet. Look, all this prowess behind the debate lectern that he's showing, it came as a surprise. The doctor is telling us that everyone is surprised. But in many ways, again, that's the brilliance that Ake sees that is worth rescuing, don't you think? And promoting it over all those brute survival violence, the violent side of life he's had. This is an internal flip in his mindset. You can't erase all that, but it's certainly not going to go away. The angels of his nature, right? And the original Jaden-Caden bond, we're seeing it manifest again. And Jaden's struggle even helps Caden voice his own self-therapy session, which I wasn't expecting. Now, Laura is another character that at first blush, I didn't expect to be involved here. But then, she is half Klingon. You would expect that. I have been surprised in the past. I mean, but how could you really ignore having Laura in a story all about Klingons and a Klingon needing support? I mean, we get some bio bits on her. And yes, for all you people who are fritzing out about her Klingon mother's parents renounced her house to go on conquest with the freed Jem'Hadar. So there. But her one major scene this episode, where she's feeling that shared blood bond with Jaden and softly telling this unsettled young man that he is a Klingon warrior whose passion for death is exceeded only by a passion for life. And that he is a warrior, not with weapons, but with words. I mean, as profound as all that is, and the mentoring helping him that we've not seen a hint of up until this fourth episode, it's been laying right there. What I didn't expect to see was how cool it was to see her so low-key thrilled for herself to finally be of Klingon service to a Chronosian and to be so incredibly mentoring. In the burn time, now that we know the Klingons are so scattered, she might not have thought she'd ever have day-to-day contact with another Klingon again. Yeah. So much for the screaming 24/7 drill sergeant. And yes, I mean, as I said, only last week, with no clue what was coming this episode, my curiosity around the mysterious Jaden was mostly piqued by this absence of backstory. He was on the short list of those we weren't learning anything about other than that amazing low-key comedy quip he had. And also, yes, mother and bird watching. Here, though, I didn't expect such a wallop and such galactic consequences. I mean, really. Look, even beyond this familiar, the family drama, the family ripples, just the fact that he's not just a shy, introverted Klingon, but he is painfully speech phobic in public. He has crippling anxiety over it. I mean, really, dig the hole deeper. A hole that he will eventually have to climb out of, right? And that's his arc. And the fact that we have a daddy rejection, Spock and Sarek, Chakotay, Kolopak, so many more across Star Trek. Or at least that's his perception. And despite all of this weight that he carries, the ability to sweat flood his face, we find out, look at that steely resolve that is actually residing within him. Yeah. And look, Kareem, he so nails this. I hope he gets all the... I mean, the cast is amazing. And we get to see him shine. And he's doing the shining under all that Klingon prosthetic. Unique Klingon prosthetic. Yeah, it's the 2020s for Star Trek, but it's also the 3200s for Star Trek's universe. After now we know what all the Klingons have been through. And even a regression for Klingons. But he is so good in this. And he's got such good material. And you know what? I'm so glad that Jaden's parents are alive and well after all. Not just to avoid even more trauma pile on in case they were lost, But now, I really hope we get a reunion story down the pike. And then, number 1 on the call sheet, yeah. I likewise did not expect, and I believe for a storyteller, that's a good thing to hear, to get an old boyfriend Nala plot out of a Klingon episode. But once again, here we are. The series keeps surprising. This episode keeps surprising. And we get Ake going a little mariner there with the old Klingon bigwig in her back pocket. Or in this case, apparently even deeper. And who knew Obel Wokak could be a Klingon name? But, he's one of the most layered Klingon roles since Martok, I think. Look at all that. He's playing diplomat, he's playing youth mentor, and old lover. David Keeley is the actor there that manages to bring all that. And I think he's very adroit at it, right? Okay, it's not a category here, but my biggest actual LOL moment this episode is Ake, typical Nala, when she belts out Kapla at the Klingons, at them, and she throws herself into it. By the way, when it's formal diplomacy, much less full-on battle, I saw no chair curling. Can we move on now? In fact, now let's move on to kudos and some big final thoughts. But yes, our writers this week, hey, it's Guy Oviolo, the Hollywood veteran writer, producer, showrunner, and Soul series creator here, but not serving as showrunner. Back here on her second script, her second credit, after she completed the pilot, but with apparently a full and a partial script still yet to come this season alone. But here she is likely shepherding her co-writer, young Eric Anthony Glover. He is the executive story editor here. Spoilers, he gets bumped up to co-producer for season 2. But here, this is his first ever Trek script, being a huge fan. And previously, been on his first staff job at the series Tom Swift, with 1 writing credit there. We'll be waiting for his second credit this season on episode 7. Follow him on his socials. And, again, as with last week, Doug Arnakowski is in the director's chair, here with his 13th Trek overall directing assignment. Now, considering Alex Kurtzman directed the first 2 Academies, this is perhaps maybe now a 2-block director system they've got running. That's what they did over in that Renegade LA series, Picard, It functioned that way. I wonder who was the supervising producer of directors over there. Oh yeah, Doug Arnakowski. Now, an insidious thing I noticed on second watch, the debate cadets, unlike the Caleb Jaden meltdown, all of them, otherwise, all go out of their way to cheer each other and support and high-five no matter who wins the point or who loses the point in the round. But at the same time, in the middle of that, we actually get to see Darum win one from Genesis this week, after his soul-searching Calica meltdown last week. But hey, speaking of Klingons, they do love that motion picture soundtrack on this series, huh? Looking at you, Jeff Russo, composer guy. Really, though, seriously? There is no other Klingon theme besides the one that evokes battlecruiser flying in perfect formation at you. And yet, a minute later, you're watching this episode. Hey, you think there's no real original series Klingon motif to match the Romulan danger derv? Dun, 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 dun. But oh yes, on the original series, there is one. Of all things, listen to Alana Troyes. You get this trumped up, blared drama punch and counterpunch. And as this battle evolves out of the motion picture Klingon theme, I swear to God, that's what he's touching on. But digging a little deeper, as much as I love the Klingon catch-up, finally for the Burn Era, and yes, finally the basic story of Jaden, I did not expect so many other characters with insights. I've talked about it, but I have a feeling so much of the quiet wisdom of this one is going to land differently with a lot of different folks in a lot of different ways. But it's going to cause a lot of ripple effects of love and resonance with these characters, with Jaden, with the Klingons, and yes, with the series. And most of all, beyond Jaden, Caleb and Laura. And hey, as they both help in different ways Jaden to see that his family has not rejected him, it actually supported his unique path by finally setting him free, right? What are you supposed to do to your loved ones? It's the only way they knew how to do it. Cold turkey abandonment, sink or swim. Yeah. Birds of prey pushing you out of the nest. How Klingon is that? And guys, look, I have never in my life worn a forehead or used a bat'leth to open an envelope. But hey, for this week only, we are Klingon! Right? I mean, seriously, did you get vibes of Heart of Glory, TNG? Not just a young Klingon coming of age to save the day, and only they could have done it in the moment. But like with Worf a year later then, with Kalar and the Emissary, playing reverse psychology with a cultural norm like Klingons in their love of battle and their stubborn pride. And on the meta, where this episode falls in the development of the series early on, and how much we finally learn about our Klingon character, just like Worf in Heart of Glory. And yes, Worf at that time was a Lieutenant JG. He had a few years on Jaden here. But are we already at the level of Worfishness where a junior officer has twice determined the successor of Klingon Chancellor? This is kind of an equivalent in galactic importance here, as people were telling him. But look, this is what you get with Academy. It is just so affirming to see youth heroes energized, empowered. Yes, I know it's a buzzword, but affirmed, right? In the moment they realize their own unique power and potential. When you can see it dawning in their eyes. And this one was a huge dawn for Jaden and for us. I mean, yes, this is a huge episode. Settled. Gravitas. I mean, Star Trek 6 level gravitas. The series so far for me has been all head trek. But this one, I said it before, I'll say it again. I felt it in my gut. It was Trek to the core. I got myself physically smiling. So many pieces to this story. Such a good fit. Just like that Steampunk Federation transmitter. And oh, I lied. I had one more favorite line. The crowning glory of this story, per Jaden himself. Maybe the trick is not let go of the past, but to let the present in. Huh. Know any fan bases out there with a chunk that it might actually help out a little? Oh, one more thing. Yes, Klingons can cry. Now look, I know Spock told Scotty that Klingons have no tear ducts in Star Trek 6, but he had to have been misinformed. Look, a century later, no one was screaming at Michael Piller or Ira Stephen Bear when Worf's brother Kern cried in TNG and DS9. No one boycotted when all the writers talked about Kahless filling an ocean with his tears. Legend, yes, but obviously not an unknown concept. And hey, I hate to break this to you, but Klingon blood is not Pepto-Bismol pink. That's oxygenated and in 0G. Avoiding an R rating in 1992. Oh, and Does Jaden have his dorm room all to himself? Okay. With that, I'm signing off on this second opinion. But hey, what do you think? Drop your comments below, would you please? This one's going to generate a lot of them. I'd love to hear from you. Please also like and subscribe while you're at it. Boost the signal. Hey, I dare you to subscribe for some Star Trek sanity, especially these days. Most of all, if you crave more Dr. Trek and the Trekland point of view, I invite you check out all of our Trek podcasts like The Trek Files from Roddenberry every week on Tuesday, Trekland Tuesdays Live, our live stream, Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek Watch Prodigy. Did you know I even have a Cameo store and a TeePublic too? And our experiences like Portal 47, your monthly package of Backstage Pass for more in-depth Trek. It's like a mini-con all year long. And of course, the Trekland Trek's location day tours around Los Angeles. All of that and more is at LarryNemecek.com. Trek well, everybody.